The steady light of Theron. Theron lived in the village of Lumina, a place where every person seemed to have a special talent that shone brightly. Some could bake bread that smelled like summer rain, and others could sing songs that made the birds stop to listen. But Theron felt like an unpainted page in a colorful book. He hadn't found his talent yet, and every morning he wondered if today would be the day he finally felt important. His friend Arlo had the gift of growth. With a little watering can and a gentle hum, Arlo could make a tiny seed sprout into a tall, leafy tomato plant in just one afternoon. Theron tried to hum to the plants too, but his voice was shaky, and the seed stayed fast asleep in the dirt. "Don't worry," Arlo said with a smile. "Everyone finds their path." But Theron just looked at his empty flower pot, feeling like he was falling behind. Then there was Lyra. She had the gift of agility. With a quick run and a light hop, she could climb the tallest oak tree and reach the highest branches where the wind whispered secrets. Theron watched her climb, feeling slower than a turtle. He practiced his climbing all afternoon, gripping the rough bark and trying to pull himself up, hoping to reach the sky just like she did. But Theron didn't reach the branches. Instead, his foot slipped, and he landed with a messy thud right in a cold, muddy puddle. His striped shirt was soaked, and his heart felt even heavier than his wet shoes. "I'm not fast, I'm not a grower, and I can't climb anything," he whispered to himself. He felt like a puzzle piece that didn't fit anywhere in the busy village of Lumina. As Theron sat by the edge of the river, a wise man named Olin walked over. Olin moved slowly, leaning on a wooden walking stick and wearing a cloak made of many different colorful patches. He sat down on a smooth stone beside Theron and didn't say a word for a long time. He just watched the water flow over the rocks, enjoying the quiet sound of the forest. "The moon doesn't try to be the sun," Olin said softly, watching a leaf float by. "And the river doesn't try to be the mountain. If they did, the world would lose its balance." Theron looked up, his eyes wide. "But I don't have a special gift, Olin. I'm just me." Olin smiled kindly. "Being you is a gift all on its own. You just haven't seen how your own light works yet." Suddenly, a thick, gray fog rolled into the valley. It was so dense that Arlo's garden became a blurry shadow, and the paths through the village disappeared. The air grew cold and confusing. The people of Lumina began to worry, unable to see where they were going. "I can't find the way home," Arlo called out, his voice trembling as the mist swirled around his knees. Theron realized he wasn't afraid. He spent so much of his time walking the village paths and watching the shapes of the trees that he knew exactly where the roots curled and where the stones marked the way. He didn't need a flashy talent. He felt a soft, steady confidence in his heart. He knew this forest better than anyone because he was always so observant. "I'll help you," Theron called out. He found Lyra, who was stuck near the old oak tree, unable to see the ground. He took her hand and guided her through the swirling mist. He moved slowly and surely, stepping over the hidden roots he had studied so often. He didn't need to be the fastest. He just needed to be there to lead the way. Theron went back into the fog to find Arlo, who was still lost near the garden. Theron guided his friend by the shoulder, leading him past the sleeping tomatoes and back toward the village square. For the first time, Theron felt strong and useful, not because he was doing what they did, but because he was doing what only he could do. When they finally reached the village center, the fog began to lift. Arlo and Lyra told everyone how Theron had saved them. "You knew the way when no one else did." They cheered. Olin stood nearby, leaning on his walking stick with a knowing smile. Theron realized that his value wasn't about being better than his friends. He had his own unique way of seeing the world, and that was exactly what made him special.